Hello? Hello? Hey, okay, we're back. Yeah, sorry about that. What the hell? Okay. So, did this split? I know it split the VOD on YouTube. Okay. Welcome back. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so just for the rest of the stream, please be careful about maybe don't send messages that are longer than 1 or 2 sentences. I'm tempted. It would be a little. I'm tempted to make a joke about you know the what was it? The whole oh god, another left-wing meme. There's so many words. But yeah, just try for the purpose of the stream. I'll go and fix that, but for the purposes of the stream, maybe keep it down to 1 or 2 sentences per message. But okay. So you can apparently in X Pirates. I mean, oh crap. Oh no, that's going in the wrong stream. No, okay. Well, I'll worry about that after stream. So there's rape in X Pirates. I mean, it is about pirates, but the initial design of being a Nazi hunting simulator is deranged to begin with, but I think most normal people would find the X Pirates despicable, even if they accept that. What's wrong with hunting some post-apocalyptic Nazis? They're the ideal bad guys for a video game. Yeah, the trouble with that is, you know, if you say violence against Nazis is acceptable, my first impulse is to agree, but then hold on. Who decides who is and is not a Nazi? Because one begins to wonder, you know, because, you know, like we've had problems with these Antifa people who say we're Nazi hunters. We go around beating up Nazis, and then they go and beat up an immigrant taxi driver. But yeah. So I didn't realize X Pirates had like rape mechanics. That's fucked up. I'm pretty liberal on content, but I feel like I would not play a game that has that in it. That in particular would be a little bit too far for me. Okay, where is the robot? There is the robot. The robot is there. You can turn captured enemies into prostitutes. Oh. Yeah, that's, okay, so it's not, like, graphic, but it's still strongly implied that you are, okay. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I've always, I don't like video games where you play as the bad guys. It's kinda, it doesn't make a lot of sense, like Ultra Kill. Ultra Kill is kind of interesting, but I just can't get behind playing as the character you play as. Okay, I'm starting up the chat reader again. Open project, new window. Let's hope this doesn't blow up my computer again. YOLO. Okay, it's firing up. I haven't played enough of the game to meet the Nazis, but assuming they are quite clearly Nazis, I don't see the problem with killing them in-game. If it's ambiguous whether they are Nazis, well, I guess that's a different question. Yeah, the rape elements would be a game ender for me. Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree there. Yeah, but like I'm saying, you know, the problem is who decides...
System initialized.
Who decides what counts as a Nazi? It's, Popper's paradox of tolerance, where people say, oh, well, the paradox of tolerance says, well, a tolerant society can't tolerate intolerant people, but what Karl Popper was actually trying to say is that if you define your society as tolerant, what ends up happening is that it defines all dissidents as intolerant and becomes suppressive that way anyway, basically. Or at least that is how it was explained to me. I've never read the original, which, God knows, you know, as Oscar Wilde said, you should not trust quotes you read on the internet. Okay, is Chung gonna stay in cover? No, he's not. Can someone throw smoke? Yes, you can. And she also needs to spray. All right, there was one more message I missed. I understand. I'm from the UK, where socialism doesn't have the negative
Speaking
associations.
of the enemies in Pirates I haven't seen, I mean.
Yeah. Where socialism doesn't have the negative associations it seems to have in the US. After all, some of our most popular institutions are socialist, such as our health system. Left-wingers might also be thought of as anti-big. There was no greater critic of the state than Marx, after all. But I enjoy hearing your perspective. Yeah, I mean, like they say, Marx had a lot that was good and a lot that was original, but nothing that was both. You know, that which was good was not original, and that which was original was not good. That's just what they say. I've never actually read Marx. I have the Communist Manifesto, because Spotify, if you have Spotify Premium, they have ebooks on there, or audiobooks, rather. So I have the Communist Manifesto that I got to listen to. Let me just look real quick and see. What else do I got? I got the Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. That's what I'm listening to. Now, that is... So, The Dispossessed is a novel. It's by Ursula K. Le Guin, who I think she was relatively left-wing for the time, especially. The time being the 70s, I think. But it is about two planets, and it seems like... Let's see, when did this book come out? Because it really seems like it's an allegory for the West and the Soviet bloc. Released? Okay, the audiobook was released in 2010, but when? Like, yeah. A bleak moon settled by utopian anarchists, Anares has long been isolated from other worlds, including its mother planet Uros, a civilization of warring nations, great poverty, and immense wealth. Now, Shevek, a brilliant physicist, is determined to reunite the two planets, which has been divided by centuries of distrust. He will seek answers, question the unquestionable, and attempt to tear down the walls of hatred that have kept them apart. But yeah, it's basically... The way it was sold to me, I've only gotten a couple chapters in. Yeah, I'm on chapter 3, or I've just finished chapter 3. Apparently, it's more about kind of the... Is antecedents the right word? The people who came right before what we would kind of consider the modern woke left. I know. I don't like using that word because certain stupid people have started screaming that word, so now we got to find another word to refer to the people we're talking about. But yeah, like, you know, they don't... You're not allowed to have committed relationships because that's hierarchical and oppressive. Everyone it just has to be a mass orgy all the time. Yeah, on the communist planet, which... And then it goes into, well, that's actually a way of concentrating power in the hands of state. It's not actually liberatory. It means that it's about dividing families and therefore...
Don't threaten me with a good time, Sirius Loth.
Anyway, let's spend a moment focusing on the actual video game. So the mistake I made was getting too close. I really need to internalize the lesson that when you're dealing with the Black Lotus, you don't get close to anything, because a ninja will pop out and stab you. You have to keep your distance. You can just hang out in the smoke, I think. That would be absolutely fine. What else? Who else needs to go? Oh yeah, the AI didn't like that one. Miss One says, real-world Nazi hunting was just wanton murder. Basically, you were in the SS, so we can kill you. Yeah, I guess I don't know enough about that particular chapter or history to speak intelligently. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you make any word a magic word that you can apply to people and then you're allowed to kill them, like, it doesn't matter what your intentions were with setting up that word that way, it's gonna go wrong. Okay.
At Mistrone in warfare? Or after the war?
Yeah, I know that there were...
After the war.
Yeah. You know, speaking of, J.D. Vance, I didn't read this deeply. J.D. Vance is the, he will be the Vice President of the United States, Trump's VP. He was talking about, and... Oh, yeah. I'm suddenly shy about saying this in front of a left-wing person, but I've said for a while, I've been thinking along the same lines about denazification after we conquered Germany. He's saying basically we need something equivalent to that for, you know, wokeness in companies. Which, I mean, what little I do know, denazification was pretty rough. I mean, I guess you can argue that you join the Nazi party, you get what you deserve, but then if you lived in Nazi Germany, you were not really given the option not to join the Nazi party. I mean, I guess, if I remember right, you were, but you basically weren't allowed to have a decent job unless you were a member. It was something like that. But yeah, I mean, I remember Werner von Braun. People, because of the whole Operation Paperclip thing with, after the war, us bringing over all the Nazi scientists. All right, the TTS is blocking every message because it doesn't like the political content. Mutant Thought says, I agree that there were arguably illegal actions taken to bring Nazis to justice, but I find it difficult to gather much sympathy for members of the SS. Yeah. You know, there was a guy who, during the, so long as we're bringing up the darkest chapters of history, the rape of Nanking, there was a guy who, he was an envoy from the Nazis, from Nazi Germany to China, and apparently he was instrumental in the West being aware of the Japanese atrocities in Nanking, and he did a lot to get people out of the, I wish I remembered the details, but it seemed like he selflessly worked to get Chinese people out of the way of the Japanese who were committing atrocities. And the thing is, it's not like you can say, oh, well, he was technically a Nazi, but he didn't really believe in it. He was a full-on dyed-in-the-wool Nazi. But when he saw people in danger, I guess he just didn't. He did the right thing anyway. And he ended up, his family, like all starved to death under denazification after the war, because he wasn't allowed to have a job because he was a Nazi. But yeah, so that's a cheery discussion to have over our silly alien war video game. Yeah, it seems like you can't really make any decision without any large-scale political activity. It seems like you will inevitably cause horrific consequences no matter what you do. But yeah, the point, what I was bringing up was J.D. Vance has talked about how, like, we need to, talking about kicking people who believe in these, I don't even like calling, I don't know, this is a little too contemporary. This isn't the kind of stuff I really want to talk about. I'll just indulge it for a second. I don't even feel like the stuff that we call woke even should be described as left-wing. It feels more like, you know, a lot of them want to bring back segregation in schools. Like, I don't really see what's left-wing about it. I mean, they say, oh, we're going to segregate and make the black school better. We're the good segregationists. I don't know about that. That sounds like, I feel like that would make race relations worse, not better. But, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, the point I was saying is J.D. Vance was mentioning in some article he wrote that he wants to have something equivalent to denazification in the U.S. for woke people, which is disturbing, but I also, like, I don't know. I get where he's coming from. Okay, can we end the turn without everyone getting stabbed? That is my hope for this turn. Missed One says Ukrainian. Oh, okay. Mutant Thought says denazification seems a bit of an empty thing since, as you say, many of the Nazis were just spirited away to join the U.S. war effort anyway. And Missed One says Ukrainians are called Nazis as an excuse to murder them. Yeah, it is funny, though Missed One referred to the SS, not just Nazis. Yeah. Yeah, the TTS system is on. It just refuses to read any of that out. God.
Maybe you can use that example to entertain the idea that there were good people in the SSS.
Yeah, that's really, really touching the third rail. But I mean, yeah, and there were stories of people who were in the Nazi administration who were, you know, they really believed in it all, but then they would, like, get some inkling that the Holocaust was happening. They'd be like, oh shit, I need to start stamping permission to leave orders for all the people. I need to get them out. It's just, you know, it's not that simple. You can't just point to, hey, you have pronouns in your bio, you must be a piece of shit.
At Miss Cerrone, I supremely disagree, but I won't derail.
Yeah, that seems like the kind of thing where you can't, it falls down to, maybe not really a possibility of having a productive conversation about that particular thing. That would be the kind of thing where everyone needs to, smoke a joint before they talk about it. All right, I need to actually finish this mission, so before my voice gives out, because I feel it's starting to go. We cannot get into this building without getting killed, so we actually need to go behind it. That is the plan. So I will arrange my people so that they can reaction fire, although, again, never seems like they get a chance to reaction fire. I shouldn't have clustered like that. Let's get Noyan over here. And there are also people over here, so we want to get people into the smoke cloud. So, to bring the topic off of politics, Mutant Thoughts, what did you do for New Year's? You do anything special? I didn't really do anything myself. I just I think I just worked on New Year's Day, honestly. Yeah, I watched a stream. There was a streamer I like who was doing a special New Year's stream. That's what I did. It was 8 entire days ago. I don't remember that far. Let's see. Cena really should be useful, but there's a big mountain in the way and a bunch of trees, so he can't really get a line of sight on anybody.
I wanted to say one more thing about X-Pirates.
Oh, go ahead. We'll set Shayate here.
Haha. I visited some friends, which was new since I usually just stick with family. I liked it. Usually, I'm very melancholic at New Year's. But this time, I had too much company to think about it.
Oh, that's good. Also skipped missed one's message. Is it not? It must not be able to pick up messages while
There's
it's...
arguable pod
Oh, oh.
feel content in it.
By pod feel, you mean as in live in the pod, eat the bugs, that kind of thing?
At Miss Zerona, what is pod? Feel UY.
You can look up
Ah.
on its wiki gnomes, which are described as hundreds of years old, but look like girls.
That, yeah, the old, No, she's really a 100-year-old vampire. It's okay. That old chestnut, yeah.
Don't actually look it up.
Don't worry, I won't. Yeah. So, it seems like X-Pirates is anime-inspired, which... that kind of thing, man, there's some streamers and some people in some other chats who would get really, have some really unproductive conversations about this, but yeah, it seems like the fucked up thing is that a lot of people will kind of take that sort of thing, the whole 100-year-old vampire thing, and people who are otherwise reasonable will reflexively defend that because you also have people who will point to a anime-style drawing of just a straight-up grown woman and say, look at that pedo
Damn.
stuff.
I haven't heard any of this before. It seems like such a popular mod.
Yeah, so the thing is, especially if you look into, like, the VTuber community, there is an entire genre of, like, as I was saying in anime, hold on 1 second. I left a pot of boiling water on the stove to humidify my apartment. I think it just ran dry. I gotta step away for just a second. Okay, false alarm, everything's okay. Yeah, so... in Japan, they call
There's
it...
a little bit of something for everyone, I guess.
Yeah. So in Japan, there is, and like this is an entire genre of what they call
I don't doubt it's
lolicon,
fun to play.
lolicon and shotacon, which in short is drawn, usually manga, which is like a comic book, pornography featuring prepubescent children. And that's just a normal thing over there. So when you have, they just see it as like, haha, it's just a silly fantasy. Just, it's, I guess it's seen the same way as like liking 50 Shades of Grey or something. I find that shit fucking horrific, and it is, but, like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, they live on the other side of the planet. Are you gonna go full colonizer and say, no, your culture is wrong, fuck you? But at the same time, like, holy shit, that's fucked up. But yeah, so stuff that references anime culture will often be shot through with references to that kind of stuff. And if you like anime, which I thankfully kind of don't, a lot of people just kind of get used to it, and they stop questioning it, and then someone puts on their favorite anime, it's like, why is everyone horny for that person who is clearly drawn to look like and act like a child? It's like, oh yeah, it's anime. They're just like that. And it's like, well, what the fuck? I don't know. At the same time, they look at the way that we in the West just abandon our elders and put them in elder care homes. They look at that with the same kind of holy shit, what the fuck is wrong with you kind of attitude. So I guess it goes both ways. This is a dark stream.
Yeah. Anime's often pretty suspicious to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like...
Studio Ghibli is good, though.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli is... Well, the thing is, I think his name is... Oh, excuse me. Criminy. Everything's going wrong. Miyazaki, I think the guy who was the head of the studio, hates anime culture or otaku culture. So it's kind of made in response to that stuff. Because when I was a younger man, a younger robot, sorry, kayfabe. When I was younger, I gave anime a try, because, I would see people on there, I'd be like, oh my god, do you see the latest anime? I'm like, what the hell is this? I went on Netflix, and Netflix had an anime category. This was when they just started having an anime category. And so the first thing I watched was Gurren Lagann. I was like, oh, this Gurren Lagann thing is actually pretty cool. The grunting is weird, the way they, like, something happens and the character turns his head and goes, yeah? That was a little weird, but I guess that's just, it's a different culture. And so I said, okay, well, maybe this anime stuff is actually cool. So I went on Netflix and I said, oh, the anime category, okay, well, let's watch an anime. And I clicked on the first one, and it was about relations between... A show about relations between an adult woman and a non-adult male. I was like, oh, okay, so this stuff is actually for sick perverts. Okay, cool. So, yeah. But apparently it's not all like that. But all of it is a little like that.
Have you ever tried Death Note? That's excellent.
I have not. I have read, I have heard it's good. There is a guy called Gwern, or he goes by the name Gwern, who like to talk about it a lot. So I've read his articles on it. His he wrote an article that uses Death Note as sort of a worked example of how to preserve your anonymity online. Like, he talks about, okay, the protagonist, I think his name was like Light. Yeah, Light. He did all the killing during daytime hours in Japan. So the people who were after him were like, oh, well, this guy obviously lives in Japan.
It falls off after a season or so, but the first one is really good. I don't remember any creepy sex stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the other thing is that we as outsiders kind of lump all anime together. Like, oh, anime is anime. You know, when you click on an anime on Netflix, the genre is listed as anime. Whereas in Japan, anime is like, saying something is an anime is like saying it's a TV show. It's a medium, not a genre. So we end up lumping in, we basically lump in daytime TV dramas with like stuff that would only run at midnight on paid channels that's like thrillers for grown adults with literally cartoons, like Saturday morning cartoons, and we just call it all anime and act like it's all one thing. And that leads to some of the confusion. But at the same time, you know, you open up the stuff that is Saturday morning cartoons and you still see the weird sex stuff. You know about, they call it Concho? So in Japan, it's apparently, it's a, you know, the classic funny joke is to shove your finger up somebody's asshole. And, you know, in the West, we would call that sexual assault or perhaps aggravated assault, and you would spend a decade in jail and be marked as a felon for the rest of your life. But in Japan, that's just a funny joke that people do to each other sometimes. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny seeing, how do I put this without being a little bit rude? The kind of people who think they're very worldly just because they, you know, read the New York Times, or I guess the UK equivalent, you know, the kind of people who think they're very worldly because they read The Guardian, and then they find out about what other cultures on the other side of the world are actually like, and suddenly they turn into Cecil Rhodes. You know? Okay. The video game, right.
Sure.
Yeah. There was this guy, I gotta stop umming. What was his name? Joe Anderson. Joseph Anderson. This freaking thing. Joseph Anderson, yeah, he's Canadian, but he is sort of the North American equivalent of, you know, a Guardian reader. And then he's a streamer, and then he started getting exposed to anime culture, and at first he was just like, haha, silly cartoons. And then people started telling him about the stuff we've been talking about, and you could see it kind of explode his brain a little bit, realizing that, oh, people from other cultures really do think really differently from you. You know. Like, okay, we need to This is probably really frustrating for people watching the VOD who are just like, I would like to watch the streamer play the video game, please, and I'm just talking about politics and making stupid decisions in the game. Like that. God damn it, stop killing Ilkar. Okay.
Most anime seems like content for teens.
Yeah, most anime seems like content
No.
for teens.
Ilka.
Yeah, we're not letting Ilkar fall. Any universe where any timeline where Ilkar dies is a failed timeline.
I felt embarrassed watching some of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like a lot of... So I used to be a pretty big fan of Hololive, which is a Japanese VTuber company. But apparently there's this whole movement in Japan. It seems like a lot of... So, man, I keep moving one step back to explain the thing I'm talking about, and then I have to move another step back to explain it. There's this thing in Japan, they call it the Lost Generation, where because they had the bubble after the war, and then everything was great, you know, everyone's getting rich, and then the central bank makes some funky decisions, and suddenly the bubble popped, and suddenly no one could have a job and no one had any money. So the people who... It's... Okay, sex-based terms. I wish Automod would stop doing this. Okay, is this going to go through?
I watched one anime that looked good. Had an undead lich wizard. It literally took like 3 episodes for the lich to start fondling the boobs of some buxom handmaiden with his horrific skeleton hands.
Yeah.
Funniest shit I've seen.
Yeah, I believe that one is called Overlord. That is an example of the isekai genre, which ties back into what I was saying. So, Japan had the bubble, and then the bubble popped and their economy collapsed. And the people who came into the workforce during the economic collapse, it just fucked up their entire lives, and they couldn't really get jobs going forward from then. So they are referred to as the Lost Generation. Now, the Lost Generation is, you know, some ways in the past, but I guess they're kind of like the Gen X in the West. They're the Japanese equivalent of Gen X. They were only one generation, but they were kind of an inflection point for the whole culture. So a lot of Japanese media, especially anime, became targeted to people from the Lost Generation in a very exploitative kind of way, where, you know, because these kids couldn't get jobs, so they couldn't get girlfriends, so they just kind of, you know, stayed alone and simmered in their bedrooms, because in also, like in the West, if like my father told me, hey, once you're 18, I never want to fucking see you again. You're going to go out and get a job and get a house, and you're never going to contact me ever again. They don't do that in Japan. If a kid just refuses to go out on his own, they kind of just go, well, he's family. You got to take care of him, and they take care of him. So there were a lot of people who, you know, the hikikomori or the herbivore men, those are different, you know, it's not right to lump those together, but for the purposes of this conversation, we can lump them together. All these people who just kind of, these young men mostly, who just kind of never went out and started their lives, and they never had any contact with women. And, you know, that's a fundamental, very critical, fundamental part of the psychology of a man, is to get approval from women for obvious biological reasons. Actually, that's an interesting topic of discussion I'll think about later, is evolutionary psychology. I'm curious whether you think, well, we'll bring that up next, but a lot of Japanese media became centered around appealing because these guys still, like a lot of them, I guess, had minimum wage jobs or they had allowances from their family. A significant fraction of the Japanese media economy became centered around basically exploiting these lost generation herbivore men, hikikomori men, who... So it would be this media that is targeted at like a perma-teen in this hypersexualized kind of way, like the isekai. They call it harem isekai, where, you know, the protagonist is a loser living in Japan, and then he gets hit by a truck crossing the street, but instead of staying dead, he wakes up in a fantasy world, like Lord of the Rings fantasy world, and 7 different hot women just become obsessed with him for no reason. Like, that's an entire genre of, like, it's not all isekai are like that, but that is an entire genre of media in Japan, appealing to these people who, you know, they were never given the chance to.
Speaking of lowly VTubers, the one that once streamed XCOM Files is back at it right now.
Is she? Did she stream XCOM Files? I thought she was just doing XCOM. Let's look. Let's point and laugh at the VTuber. Even though, like, most of my raid targets are VTubers, but... let's see. XCOM UFO Defense.
Yes, XCF.
Really? Which one? I don't see it. There's me. Oh man, there's a lot of people playing XCOM. Inatsu Shiroi? That was it, yeah. Oh yeah, that's yeah. So God, should I even say this? Fuck it. If you look at the tags on this Inatsu Shiroi entity, it has the tag cute and funny. So that is a play on God, I feel dirty saying this out loud. It's a childish slang for female genitalia, cunny. So they're like, oh, this girl is cute and funny, which is a reference to, you know, the whole pedo baiting culture. The VTuber scene is just full of that shit. And it's just like, if you're into VTubers, you just kind of have to put up with it, I guess. I've also heard people from outside the West point to, like, I've asked them and said, hey, is, like, you know how we look at anime and go, what the fuck is this? Why does it always have these particular elements, like the guy falling on, oops, I fell over and grabbed your boobs, whoopa, like, do people outside the US look at American shows and see them the same way? And apparently they do. It's not clear to me. The thing is, I also don't watch, like, American trash TV. So just because I'm from America, I'm not actually familiar with that stuff. But apparently people look at American culture and see the same kinds of things. And like I said, you know, the Asian countries look at the way we treat elders the same way we look at them with their lolicon stuff. So, to a certain extent, it is all, I don't want to say it's all relative, but I don't know.
I watch 1 or 2 VTubers. I thought they were for people who just didn't want to show their faces but still wanted to have an avatar.
Yeah,
oh my
I mean...
dog.
Yeah, I mean, that is, like, for a lot of people, that is what it is. But it also...
Are just people with the animated avatars, right?
Yes, in fact, I mean, when this stream ends, I will probably raid into a VTuber. Because it's kind of by coincidence, a lot of the people I ended up watching ended up being VTubers, because I used to be... But yeah, it's just, like, in fact, actually, the, So this this channel, Robot Meat, is kind of just a stepping stone. I actually intend to become a VTuber myself. I'm going to be, like, I want to build the whole thing from scratch. It's actually going to be, like, retro computing themed. So I will be, like, my animated face is going to be on an old CRT. And it'll be like a vector graphic of a face that's talking. But, yeah, I have to actually build that and then get some of the assets. I want to have a video for
You
when
should
I
make Ilkar your avatar. Seriously.
Yeah, zombie tuber. Well, I mean, if you look up Kureigi Ollie, Kureigi, and just Ollie, she's a zombie. She's one of the Hololive girls. But yeah, Hololive. So, like I was saying, a lot of Japanese media, I think I've given up on all pretension of actually playing the game at this point. I'm too tired anyway. A lot of Japanese media is designed around appealing to and kind of exploiting young men who, or not even young, immature men who cannot get laid, to put it plainly. So I wish I knew the word, because there's a lot of, now in Japan, there's actually a huge backlash, because there was this, you know what, since I'm not playing the game, I may as well just pull up the video, and that'll give me a chance to rest my voice as well. We'll carry on with this mission next time. 58B.
Grass eaters?
Yeah, the herbivore men. Yeah, herbivore men is that's a direct translation of a Japanese slang term for men who just kind of gave up on interacting with women, whereas hikikomori specifically refers to people. I mean, I think hikikomori, a lot of women are also hikikomori. They just don't leave their bedrooms. They don't leave their houses. Like, they'll go out. The game Yume Nikki.
Do they call themselves that? Or is it an insult?
You know, I'm not actually sure. I think it's like kind of both. It's kind of like incel. It was kind of their name. I don't know if it was a name that people gave to them as an insult and they picked it up, or if it was their name for themselves and then it became derogatory. Let me look. This guy is called, it's not Asianometry. Oh no, what was the name of the guy? Japanese weather reporter, weather news girl controversy? Ah, there we go. Okay. My Google foo is still strong. Okay, how do I do this without showing you windows that I don't want you to see? Okay, no, I got it. I got it. Japan's ridiculous weather woman fiasco. Let me stretch this. There we go. You guys can hear that okay, right?
Yes.
Last month, the Japanese internet turned on one of its most beloved figures. Her name is Hiyama Saya, and although a simple weather reporter, she found her way into the hearts of millions of internet users through cute clips that garnered millions of views. She ticks all the boxes. She has nerdy hobbies like cosplaying and gaming.
モンスターというエナジードリンクデビューしました。徹夜でゲームするときとか飲みます。
And on top of that, she's even a bit socially awkward.
山ポーズって皆さんご存知ですか？山ポーズ。
Saya is essentially a nerdy guy's dream girl, so for some fans, the best part was, it seemed like she was single.
私恋愛において諦めが入っててどうせ見向いてくれないんだろうなって思うタイプだから
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Her 5-year career at Weather News Live, a 24/7 online weather channel hosted entirely by young women, yes, we'll get to that later, has brought her a lot of success. In addition to becoming the most popular weatherwoman in Japan, she was chosen by her home prefecture of Ibaraki to represent them as an ambassador. And if those weren't big enough honors already, this year the company Sharp produced
She
special
looks like Martin
Hiyamasaya
Shkreli.
air purifiers voiced and signed by her. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Would you guys buy an air purifier voiced by me? Ohayo gozaimasu! Unfortunately for Saya, when you have millions of fans, some of them are bound to take it a bit too far. Whether through fan art, massive donations to the stream, or simply by purchasing her essay/photo book Blue Moment, members of Team Saya did everything they could to support her, and it was looking like they might get a chance to meet her in person. The Weather News Live fan meetup was coming in July, and there hadn't been one in 5 years. All of the casters were going to be there, including Saya. There was only one problem. Tickets, even at their 6,500 yen price point, were in super high demand. The 1,000-seat venue sold out in minutes. Never have a group of men been so excited about the weather. But anyways, around a week before the fan meetup, something weird started happening. Saya stopped appearing on Weather News Live. Nobody could figure out why. No Saya today or tomorrow, huh? I'm feeling a bit Saya deprived. She's off tomorrow too. What's going on? Is she taking a summer vacation or something? Saya busoku. Saya busoku. Does this mean she's
Oh,
quitting
no.
Weather News? Saya, please tell us that you're not leaving Weather News. But eventually, Saya was found. And not by some sleuthy detective work either. Saya, or at least someone who looked like her, was found in the last place anybody expected. Great Britain. Watching Wimbledon. Oh my god. Is that... could it be? Yep, it was her. Saya, who had never expressed any interest in tennis before, took time off to fly all the way to the UK to watch Wimbledon? I thought she'd be at home gaming during her summer break. Wimbledon is a big shock. The match she was watching was between
How
Daniel
dare
Gallen
she.
and the #1 ranked Japanese player Nishioka Yoshihito, and she was in seats that are generally reserved for friends and family. Friends and family seats? The person beside Saya must be the one connected to Nishioka, right? I hope that's what's going on. Well, that isn't what was going on. The person beside Saya was her mom. And then, even more revealing footage came out. Saya had come to the UK with her mom to be Nishioka's special guest at Wimbledon. This has to be a lie. It's all but confirmed now. Huh? Yamete kureo, uso daro, Saya-chiya, Saya. I just don't care anymore. The colors have faded from my world. Nishioka, that guy?
Even a great serve goes and the racket bin.
Why does it have to be him? Some fans were getting so angry that even the car guy had to come in and defend Saya. Things got so crazy online
You get to
that
date her
Saya
next
eventually
Pirate
had
Test,
to put out
apparently.
a statement on Twitter.
She's the leader
To
of
all
the
my
mutants.
wonderful supporters,
Holy
I
shit,
wanted to share
really?
some personal news with you that you may have already seen in a few reports. I'm currently in a relationship with the professional tennis player Nishioka Yoshihito. We both look forward to nurturing our bond and supporting each other in the days to come.
Is she
Your
coming to the
continued
UK?
warmth and encouragement would mean the
Confirmed,
world to
pedo.
us. Nishioka also put out a statement saying the relationship was getting pretty serious and getting mad at people for posting the racket-breaking clips. Look, maybe you're still not convinced that Saya getting a boyfriend was a big deal, but you know who was convinced? Weather News Live shareholders. Their stock fell like 10% overnight. Saya lost a ton of followers in the same period. And when she finally showed up on screen after Wimbledon, there was chaos. The chat wouldn't stop spamming tennis balls and Nishioka's name on screen.
引き続き温かく見守っていただけると嬉しく思います。今後ともどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
This whole situation is obviously completely foreign to people unfamiliar with East Asian idol culture. Western celebrities are free to have romantic partners, and the only time it'll make the
WTF.
news is if there was
Yeah.
like cheating or if their boyfriend went on a podcast or something. But in Japan, this is normal. Fans are less interested in idols who are in relationships, so idols are expected not to date. It's not written in their contracts, that would be illegal, but it's clearly an industry norm. Now, is Hiyamasaya an idol? It's easy to reject this premise and say, no, she's a weathercaster, but it's undeniable that Weather News Live is only as successful as it is today because of how they've involved attractive young women in their business strategy. Every year, the company holds auditions to find the cutest new talent to hire. They know what the fans want. However, this approach inevitably subjects the casters to intense scrutiny. There is certainly more depth to Saya than just the adorable otaku character she's expected to portray on screen, but because of how Weather News encourages these parasocial interactions, with the expensive merchandise, the air purifier, and the cute clips on their official
They are
channel,
shared
the now
virtual
29-year-old
lives.
Saya
Precisely,
isn't even allowed
yeah.
to make basic life decisions without causing a massive scandal, and that's not fair. The men who were upset with her are called Jaksha Dansei. They are vulnerable
Yeah,
and
Jaksha
lonely men,
Dansei.
and they feel like Weather News Live specifically targeted them.
That was
with
the
their
term I was
marketing.
trying to think
They actually
of.
made up a new word to describe this. It's called Jakudan Eigyo, and it means business.
Yeah, that's the
exploiting
term I was trying to think
vulnerable
of.
men. And it's unfortunate that they feel
Let me-
exploited, but they should.
Hold on, 1 second.
At Miss Zerona and this person appears in Ex Pirates?
With their
Now, let
marketing.
me look that up.
They actually made up a new word to describe this. It's called Jakudan Eigyo, and it means business exploiting vulnerable men. And it's unfortunate that they feel
Jakudayeyo.
exploited, but they shouldn't direct their anger at Saya. The biggest scandal that erupted from the no dating rule happened in 2012 when a tabloid magazine reported legendary AKB48 member Minegishi Minami slept over at a man's house. The blowback was honestly insane. Minegishi was immediately demoted to trainee status within the group, and within 24 hours had shaved her head in penance and was made to post an apology to the official AKB48
I'm not sure.
YouTube channel.
She's
It
called
made
Saya
headlines all over
and
Japan
looks Asian,
and in the West too.
but different
There
look
are
than this
honestly
woman.
so many other no dating scandals involving female idols, but it happens to male idols as well. When heartthrob Fukuyama Masaharu
Prize
announced his
Saya.
marriage in 2015, the stock
Okay.
price of his talent agency Amuse fell 9%. Sorry ladies, I'm taken. Although it feels like a relic of the past, it doesn't seem like the no dating rule is going anywhere anytime soon. Last year, amidst a different AKB48 no dating scandal, the group's director, a former idol herself, Mukaichi
There's a lot of
Mio,
character
made a
inserts in
sympathetic
it,
statement
especially
on Twitter
women and
saying
girls
it
from
might
anime.
be time to get rid of the
Yeah.
no dating rule and that she would speak to management about it. But a lot of fans seem to be upset with this idea. They didn't want the no dating rule removed. And the results of this poll show the same sentiment. The backlash to Mion's statement about rethinking the rule was so bad that the next morning she was forced to put out another statement saying that she misspoke and that after speaking with management, actually there is no dating rule and that group members make their own decisions. When it comes to Saya, the line between weather reporter and idol has clearly been blurred. While it's easy to envy the financial success that must come with a position like hers, the psychological toll of living under such public scrutiny must
You
be
get to
immense.
sleep with the blonde
A woman getting a
scientists
boyfriend
from
should
Neon
not
Genesis
be the news of the week
Evangelion.
or some sort of scandal. Put yourself in Saya's shoes. Imagine how stressful this must have been. You can't go public and say you have a boyfriend because your fans have developed some image of you. You're in another country with him and people still catch you. Your fans are enraged and through no fault of your own, your company loses tons of money and it makes
Lol.
headline news. All of this 2 days before your massive fan meetup event.
I mean, that sounds
Oh
fun.
yeah, I still have to talk about the fan meetup. So, as you could imagine, everyone online
just
thought
a
the
minute
fan
left here,
meetup
but-
was going to be a catastrophe. Image board users were amalgamating salty fan tweets, and they even found the car guy parked outside the venue. I even caught wind of this as it was happening and tuned into the broadcast to see the chaos. But actually,
you
it
don't
went
have
a
a
lot
main
better than
character in the
expected.
game, do you?
Yes, the audience turned out to be 90% men, mostly in their 30s and 40s. And yes, 20% of the seats were empty, most likely in protest. But aside from that, things went pretty well. When all the casters were being introduced, Saya got memed
I
on a
should
little
switch to
bit.
Just Chat.
いろいろお騒がしてすいません温かい感じでお迎えください檜山沙耶キャスターです
The fans honestly did a great job supporting her. That wasn't the only time they memed
You
on her
do-
though.
You play as a super mutant
いくら
woman.
丼ではなくウィンブルドンあ違いましたはい檜山沙耶キャスターです
なんていうのかなテニスのようになんていうかこう
In the end, the event came to a close without a hitch, and that's kind of been the theme since. Saya still works for Weather News, the negativity has mostly died off, and things are back to normal. Thanks for watching. Say something nice to Saya on Twitter or in the Weather News chat if you
I
feel like
started
being
playing
nice to her after
Pirates
this
because
video.
I saw an
Thanks to
article
my
about it on
patrons,
Rock,
including
Paper,
J-
Shotgun. It seems weird that they wouldn't mention these elements, Serious Loth.
So most of the sex in the game is lesbian.
Oh, that makes it okay. Let's see if we
because
can look
almost
that up.
everyone are women.
Of course. Let's see. X-Pirates. UFOpedia. I know some of the stuff you specifically said not to look up, but I want to look up Saya. Because I saw mentions.
Yeah, I need some fact checks on this stuff. Serious love.
Yeah, let's see. Male path. What do you mean by this? Saya. Saya is no longer inaccessible. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel, you know,
This pedia is very dated and without pictures.
well, you know, without pictures sounds like a good thing, actually, but, okay, let's back out. That's the...
It's some ancient version.
Let's see, where would this information
Miss
be?
Cerrone, you've searched extensively.
Bootypedia? Well, this is... I don't know, they're saying this is... Where... It looks like this is the... Let's see, look at... Okay, here are the enemy factions. Does this do us any good?
Yes, I did a little research.
Yeah, okay, but...
Wasn't pleasant at times.
Yeah. So... I don't know, could you link to some sources for... I would... Like, do you have, is there an article here about the rape stuff? I hesitate to say it. Like, where can we... I guess I don't want to see it, but I would like...
I don't think you can find info on who she is.
Yeah. Okay,
Easily.
FAQ? Easily, yeah. How do I... if you...
All I know is that it's a very popular mod, and has received attention in the mainstream, without mention of rope or pedo stuff. Just the overly sexualized women.
Yeah, I mean... Okay, here's... That's 2016, that's 2019. Horny on the Spanish Main, yeah, real funny. Sin Vega first introduced me to X-Pirates 3 years ago by Doc Scene, Sexy Lady Air Parts, Skeleton confusing. Yeah, I stopped reading Rock, Paper, Shotgun. They used to be really good. I kind of stopped reading them.
It's not that popular. A couple of thousand downloads, it seems.
I feel like it's... Is it more popular than Files? They're probably about the same. X-Pirates builds on XCOM. You're the commander of a gang of beefy mutant women in the world XCOM lost. After following...
It's more popular.
Yeah. If you become a world-straddling pirate queen, liberate Earth. Yeah, I see how... It does, you can, how do I put this? It does...
Whenever I look up UFO defense being got played, everyone is playing X-Pirates.
It does feel like it's like a left-wing kind of horny, you know? It's about...
It's also mostly Russians.
Yeah, it's about roided-up lesbians having sex a whole bunch in the post-apocalypse. That's kind of...
Yes, it's the Antifa mod.
I maybe wouldn't put it that strongly, but yeah, kinda. But yeah, I'm not super surprised to hear, unfortunately. I'm not super surprised to hear that Rock, Paper, Shotgun didn't actually look too deep into what they were talking about. They did used to be really good. I don't read them anymore. Yeah, the thing blocked that out. Missed One says, as I said, it started as Nazi murdering fantasy. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. It's funny how, you know, it's horseshoe theory. You go far left enough and you get back to rape. In any case, what I was saying, okay, I'll finish what I was trying to say before we got on this huge tangent. God, how am I going to get like demonetized for saying rape over and over again? Well, I'm not monetized, but am I going to get throttled?
Surely they would point out rope and pedo stuff. Like that's supposedly the #1 issue wokies are meant to obsess over, right?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, well, you know, when you look into...
Okay. Look at Pimpcraft on the Y key.
All right.
If you don't believe me.
I believe you, but... Okay, let me maybe not... Wow, I can't even type. At AFT. No! Craft. Okay, let me not stream this for just a second.
Not on this one.
Oh, not on that one, okay. Well, I see Ho. Okay, that's not... X... Pirates... Ho... Or, Pimpcraft. Yeah, I don't... Okay, put quotes around Pimpcraft. It doesn't... Okay, there it is. Pimp. Yeah, the only... Okay, well, so if we look... Back to browser. It does say in...
I don't see anything of that name.
I mean, it does say they removed it, but... Now, you know, if they removed it, that's admitting that they had it. But, yeah. No, I believe you. I just, I would like to see the context, is all I'm saying. But yeah, that's something. I mean, historically, that did tend to happen when communists took over. But, yeah, anyway, speaking about, anime waifus, like this guy was saying, it's an entire segment of the economy, these companies that rely on essentially exploiting these, what do they say, vulnerable or weak men who are, you know, not able to deal with women, so they sell, their business model is selling mediated access to women to men who could not otherwise get access to women. Which, you know, that's nothing new. That's all a strip club really is. And they call it the oldest profession for a reason. Here it is.
She made up a new word to describe this.
The vulnerable men business. But anyway, I used to be a big fan of this company called Hololive, where they're still around. They're a VTuber company.
If the game has the ability to force your troops into prostitution, that is bad. If it used to have it but removed it, that's good.
Here's the wiki. https expedia.netlify.
Okay. Yeah, it's, I can't reach it. That could be, I know we're on separate sides of the planet, so that might be why, but yeah, I can't see it. Thank you for the follow, BB Alexiso MI69. Appreciate you hitting the follow button. But what was I saying? Oh.
http expedia.netlify app.
Oh, here we go. Okay. I'm not... Oh, what? Why do you need the protocol specifier? That's odd. Okay. What am I looking at? Node.js. What?
You might not want to browse on stream.
Right.
Or at least without pictures.
Yeah, okay. And then how do I... much of this is untranslated. That's a search bar. There we go. It was Pimpcraft. Well, this is in Russian. I cannot read this, but is this too hot for Twitch? Yeah, it really is. Leads to feudalism. What? Dependencies. Human hoe. What? What?
There's a switch in the upper right corner.
Switch. Upper right. Ah. It ain't nearly as easy as it looks to keep both the staff and customers happy.
Are you sure it's translated correctly, lol?
While retaining discipline and some sort of dignity, it takes willpower, charisma, and proper swag. We can now either manufacture our own zany zines by the means of live play improvisation. The actors will be set free after a session. Or make captured hoes...
It's using the English files.
Captured hoes, and similarly inclined captives, work for us as courtesans, who earn us $20,000 monthly while occupying prison space. So yeah. Okay. So...
Zany zines equal pour in.
Yeah, I gathered that much. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fucked up. I do get it, why they put it in the game, because kinda... Like I said, they are pirates. Pirates did that. But it is... You know, if this is the Antifa lesbian sex mod fantasy, it's morbidly amusing.
It's in the game because the authors want to do that.
Yeah. 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 Well. Ugh. So yeah, that's fucked up. But okay, the original topic was the Hololive. Long story short, I used to be a big fan of them because
they enjoy the feeling of forcing women to fleek mutants.
Yeah. But I mean, you ever...
I doubt this is a far-left creation. Its entire premise is the male gaze.
Well, you know, I could point you to some stories. The thing is, they have the what I gather is that it's kind of like if you got the queer cred, then it becomes acceptable to be a perv because, oh, it's actually, we're actually subverting the male gaze because I'm a roided up lesbian or I'm transgender, so it's okay when I do it. Saying that sort of stuff really will get you kicked off Twitch. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but, well, I said it. There is a certain contingent to the left. I'm not saying it's all of them. I'm not even saying it's most of them, but there is a contingent of the woke left who will say stuff like, oh, well, you know, it's bad when when you sexualize women, but when I do it, it's actually liberatory because blah, blah, blah stuff I'm actually subverting. Like, haha, I'm actually subverting the patriarchy when I exploit women. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I think a lot of it, and, you know, when it comes down to it, for most people, ideology is just...
Sure.
Especially radical ideology is just excuses to do what you wanted to do anyway. Like, you know, there's plenty of people on the right with, like, fucking, that Nick Fuentes guy being like, your body, my choice, that shit. So God knows it's not exclusive to the left by any means, but yeah. There's, some people just, they get ideology as, you know, you talk to people who call themselves communists and you ask them, oh, well, what do you think about the Mises's information problem? What's your solution? They're like, what? I don't care about the economic stuff. I just want to. I'm a communist because I just want to kill people. It's like, oh, and you know, those are the kind of people who you see. Some people, like, they'll flip flop between the hard right and the hard left. That's kind of one of the, in all radical political spaces, it's kind of, you're not supposed to talk about it, but everyone knows that, like, the guy who is the biggest neo-Nazi, you know, 4 years ago he was a communist, he was run with Antifa, and now he's a neo-Nazi, and the guys who are the, you know, the... Okay, I shouldn't reference that incident. That really will get me kicked off Twitch, but you will see people in hard left organizations that have media top cover get in trouble, and then you find out that this person who is supposedly a Antifa super soldier was actually a neo-Nazi at one point.
I agree that the pimping aspect is not good. But if it was removed from the game, then what's the issue? It sounds like the makers grew up a bit. Not enough to remove the hypersexualization, but you know.
Well, did they grow up, or
Damn,
did they...
I hope I didn't get you in trouble.
No, it's okay. I'm literally a two-view. I don't think Twitch cares, but yeah, if I was a larger channel saying, you know, they don't like when you talk bad about transgender people, even if you're talking about people who are just sickos who put on transgender identity to get away with being sickos, you know? I'm not saying all or even most transgender people are sickos. I'm saying if you make calling yourself transgender a license to do shit,
The author
then
is a douche.
Then, yeah. But... yeah. Yeah, I don't know. In any case, my voice is tired, and it is very late for me, so...
Yeah, they grew up.
Yeah. I mean, are we sure they... You know, did they say, oh shit, we're gonna get canceled for this, or did they get canceled for it? Or did they actually go, ooh, wait a second, maybe we shouldn't have done that. I don't know. But in any case...
The recent feature is Gnomes being into tentacles a lot.
At Miss Sirona, I'd probably agree, but just from the objectification alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really...
Like
it is...
they want to hug tentacles.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's also a thing that you kind of have to deal with when you're dealing with anime culture. Because, I don't know if you know where the tentacle thing comes from, because Japan has obscenity laws. So, if you've ever seen, you know, that's the joke, is that in Japanese pornography, the genitals are all covered up by black bars. You're not allowed to portray genitalia in media in Japan. So that's where the whole tentacle porn thing comes from, because legally speaking, a tentacle isn't a genital, so you can draw a very phallic tentacle doing things and it's okay, it's legal. And then that became kind of a cultural touchstone, a meme that persisted even after it, yeah. Ugh, I don't... There's only so much I can sit around and talk about sexual exploitation of women before I I start to get tired of it. In any case, I need to find someone to raid because I need to I was gonna say I need to go to bed, but actually I'm pulling an all-nighter for my startup that I'm working on. So let me find someone to raid into. Oh, I have to reopen my personal browser because it closed when the system crashed. And restore. This is probably going to make noise. Ooh, okay, the whole computer froze up again. Oh no, there we go. There we go.
Great stream.
Yeah, I think that's great chat. I really appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate the civil and the fun for me, civil discussion, despite our
Good
different
night.
viewpoints.
Thanks for the interesting chat. I think we disagree on a lot, but I enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. You know, it's kind of hard to find. I mean, I'm sure the other side say this too. It's hard to find people from the opposite side who you can talk to, and I'm sure. You know, God knows there's a lot of stupid shit going around on the right, and you need to talk to people who are on the other side to. Like, at the end of the day, I'm on the side of truth. I want to know, I want to actually help people, and you need to have an accurate picture of what's going on. So it is necessary to talk to people who don't agree. You know, there's not a lot of point in talking about politics with people who agree with you about everything, you know? So I actually really appreciate you showing up for stream and having the conversation we did, and I think we're going to raid Enisline, who is a German VTuber. Speaking of VTubers,
For sure, all my dog.
Let me just let these ads
I didn't
run.
mean to bring up the unpleasant stuff, but I think it was kind of needed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a problem.
Ex-pirates is moral corruption.
Yeah, it's some degen shit. I can definitely agree with that. I think we can all agree if we can find one point that we can all, like, you know, that picture of
know what you're getting into.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger and from what was it, Predator?
Your choice.
You know, the muscly white man's arm and the muscly black man's arm coming together in the handshake. We can all shake hands on ex-pirates is some gross, degenerate Coomer shit. But, okay. You guys we're going to raid into Enisline. If my browser works correctly. Are we going to raid? Hold on. What? Oh, no. No, please, browser. Ha 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 ha. Okay, in a second, once my... Oh, my God. Once my tools start actually working, we're going to raid into Enisline. I appreciate y'all coming out. Raid. Enislein. Greatly appreciate y'all coming out. I would love to have you back for next time. We are streaming Tech Stream tomorrow, doing that game I told you about last time. Have fun with Enisline, and I'll see you all next time.
What happens? No, it's fixed. Guys, I fixed it.